When I say pay attention, pay attention. You probably hear maybe the echo of a teacher or a coach or a parent. But I think the Spirit of God wants us to pay attention. That's kind of the idea of the second level of mentoring that we're talking about when we say that we want to seek to be an example that anyone can follow, an observational mentor to all the youth in our sphere of influence, an intentional mentor to a few. I raise up 3 fingers because the statement has 3 points. Being an unintentional mentor is just recognizing I am an example. What kind of example am I? The second level is being an observational mentor. Now, this concept, it's not difficult, but to make it happen, we have to pay attention. And it kind of comes back to that thing we talked about the week before last, about seeing the need. And the need is that there are people all around us. In my own men's group, one of the guys asked, hey, I'm not around very many youth. There's not a lot of youth in my sphere of influence. I get that. But because we're talking about meeting the next generation and developing them for to live the mission of Jesus through the power of the gospel, okay, I may have lost you there. Let's back up a little bit. Remember the vision statement? We are becoming a loving community of growing disciples. Here it is, mentoring the next generation to live the mission of Jesus through the power of the gospel. Our vision gets translated into our IMs. Loving community happens when you've got people who know they are loved and are also loving. Growing disciples, part of my identity. Mentoring the next generation, part of my identity. To live the mission of Jesus, part of my identity. So when we are an observational mentor, we're just making note, we're taking note, we're paying attention to, okay, who are the youth in my sphere of influence? So I've got on the road I live on, I think I have about, probably not a lot. There's not a lot of kids. There's 2, 4, 6. I think like just 6 kids that live on my road. There's probably 50 people who live on my road, but only 6 kids. I don't see them a lot. I take that back. I think there's 7. I know most of their names, and when I come across them, I always seek to go out of my way to be kind, to be friendly, to call them by name if I have met them. What am I doing? I'm just trying to pay attention. I'm trying to pay attention to the fact that I'm an example that anyone can follow. I'm trying to pay attention that there are youth within my sphere of influence. So one of the guys in my group asked, well, what if there's no youth in our sphere of influence? Well, think about the next generation as just the next generation of believers, right? Who's in my sphere of influence that doesn't yet know Christ? And how can I be observational? Know who they are, know what they do, where do they work, what do they do for work, what are their hobbies? I'm being observational. I'm making observations. Why? So I can connect to them in a way that shows that I am present and that they matter. Okay, when you are present and communicate that someone matters, here's what I believe at the core of my being. God is present. When you are present and communicate that someone else matters, God is also present. He's being the manifestation of God is coming out of that experience. Excuse me. St. Francis of Assisi said, preach the gospel always, and when necessary, use words. One of my guys in my group reminded me of that little quote this week, and it's true. I want to preach the gospel with my behavior, with my conduct. And when I'm paying attention, I recognize the objects around me that God might want me to influence, the people around me that he might want me to influence, because I'm present. I'm observant. Today, who are the youth in your sphere of influence? Stick with the youth part. If there are none, be an influence to those that are potentially in your sphere. But who are the youth? Do they know that you know them? Do they see that you care? If they do, you will have influence. Jesus, help us be the people of influence you're making us to be. See you tomorrow.